want to talk a lot about Ndombele tonight because I think credit is where credit is due, because we've waited an awful long time for Ndombele and he actually lasted over 90 minutes. So, Luke, what was your takes on Ndombele and especially that finish yesterday?
Yeah, I think slowly he's been utilised in probably his best way, playing further forwards, being able to get on the ball a little bit deeper, play the ball, but then also venture forward. You know, when we had him playing alongside, you know, kind of like Hojberg and Ali sometimes, you know, it really doesn't work when he's much further back. You know, he messes about on the ball, tries too much, and then ends up giving it away. So when he's further forward and he can, you know, put the ball through players' legs, you know, bring the ball down whenever he likes and, you know, score like he did. It was just fantastic to see. We came back and, Ndombele was fantastic. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say he's back, you know, this is it now. We have to take it game by game. But, he used a finesse finish from FIFA. Do you know what? Absolutely zero curl on it, though.
Is it not?
It just went up and down.
Rocket straight in.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I saw a stat ridiculously that he had like the most runs or carried the ball the most throughout the whole game, in the sense, and when you've been thinking a couple of games ago he wasn't even lasting a half, to actually now last 90 minutes and have a big impression on the game. We've got to be looking forward to that and hopeful that he's going to keep it up.
Well, we do. I mean, Ndombele showed what we all know what he's capable of and what he can do when he's on it. And I think a big help for him, which was also a big help for Kane, was going back to a 4-2-3-1. It's kind of the team was a lot more balanced and settled with that. And I've been saying it before. I think Ndombele needs to be. If we look at it, and I'm going to choose two players that remind me not of him for his skill, but I mean what we all know he can do is Ginola and Van der Vaart were both the same. They did not defend. They could not defend. And it was like we had players to counteract it, to say, do you know what? Just get back into shape. It's not the onus on you to be making these long busting runs, because we know once you get on the ball, you're deadly, and we can conserve your energy. And I think the addition of Ollie Skipp to help Hojberg, like we saw with Ollie Skipp, I think if you look at the Arsenal and Chelsea games, which are our two worst performances, Arsenal by a country mile, Hojberg had Ndombele and Dele. And I think we can finally say, and I've been saying it for months, that Dele Alli is the weakest link. Goodbye. As a quiz show used to say, Ollie Skipp has brought so much to this team and is allowing Ndombele to do what he does best, because there's a Skipp and a Hojberg there to cover it. So his performance, even his defending near the end, like at the touch, he's nutmegging people on the touch, on like near our corner, conceding the corner. He just looked like he had that extra 10-15% energy because he had Skipp and Hojberg doing the work for him. And that's what you need to do. To have that kind of luxury player, you need a couple of players that will cover the shifts, and that's what they do.
And it is interesting you said that as well, because I was thinking we've got those two anchors now to allow Ndombele to just do what he kind of does. Yep. And that being said, Luke, do you think that obviously we all knew what Skipp was doing at Norwich? He's showing that actually, compared to my mate behind me, he's actually playing the ball forward a lot more. And I know we talk about obviously Hojberg at Denmark, the fact that he moved the ball forward. I feel like there's kind of a rotation kind of feel with those two. One can move forward a little bit while everyone sits, or it can be vice versa. Do you think that's something that we're definitely going to keep going forward, especially if we keep playing Ndombele?
Well, look, we have to play those two for us. You know, our centre-backs still aren't the best centre-backs we could have. Our wing-backs still aren't the best at actual defending. So you need to have that extra cover for, you know, tracking back, making those extra lines. You know, if Romero, like he likes to do, steps too far forward, one of them can slot in and cover him. I do think we have to, like, be a bit careful with Oliver Skipp and just make sure that, like, we don't all just start blowing him way out of, like, you know, proportion in terms of how he actually is at the moment. You know, there's still things that he needs to improve in his game. He's on, I think it's 4 now yellow cards. He's probably, if he gets to 5, he'll be the first player in the Premier League to get to 5, which will get him a 1-match ban. So he needs to be careful in a few things. But apart from that, yeah, I thought he was outstanding yesterday.
It's interesting you said it as well, because I think it is obviously something that's going to come with age, something that's going to come with experience. And I know we're still talking about Skipp, but I think it's something we still need to really talk about. And that is because, like you said, he can be hot-headed, but I find, unlike Winks, he wins the ball, but he's more tactical about the way he goes about things. Do you not think, Brian?
So, Ollie Skipp, the great thing is, obviously, so I'll talk a bit about it. So obviously we saw with Jose Mourinho. When Jose Mourinho, or I mean, we saw it with Poch. and we'd heard through the youth academy and we'd heard through Tottenham that this is going to be a player. Didn't really know his position back then. Jose got hold of him and said, this guy's a future Tottenham captain, and sent him on loan to Norwich. Now, fortunately, I've got actually got a Norwich City friend who I actually met in Toronto, who's Norwich City mad. And he just, for the whole season, was waxing lyrical about how good this guy is. And it's not just his pass is great, but it's what I love about him. Like Teddy Sheringham could see something, a few people like passes, he can see like where the position ought to be before it even happens. His, like the sliding tackle he made in the first half, his sense of where following the ball is outstanding. And what you got to remember as well, he's also allowing Hojberg to add an extra facet and be like he did in Denmark, and be more creative as well as getting back. Because last season, Hojberg was doing three people's work in midfield on the defensive side. Hollie Skipp, at 20 years old, like you said, unfortunately for your man with the ironic star over his head of all things, he is showing already in this brief amount of time the leagues above this kid is. I think he's. I was talking today. I think he's the way he's going on. I could see him go to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. I really can. If you look at someone like Bellingham, who's got in at 17, Southgate has to be looking at this guy, because it's not only the great thing you got to take Hollie Skipp is not just what he's bringing when he's on the pitch. You're seeing how important he is when he's off the pitch, i.e. Arsenal and Chelsea. So when a 20-year-old is doing that, it's a big, big, big statement. And I believe we have a real like, we've talked like what we've had our Harry Kanes and people coming through the youth. I reckon this one is a guaranteed big time superstar that we have on our hands. And it may be a little bit early, but you can only judge him on what he's been doing. And like I said, seeing him out compared, like our two best games of the season have been when Dele Alli was in the squad. Our worst two games of the season have been when Skipp was out of it. So you can see the impact this boy is having.